Welcome back to episode number 3 of the Four Horsemen podcast. To my left, the man behind the camera, the man on the seat,
the current champion,
the current Four Horsemen Wrestling podcast pay-per-view champion, Dylan FBK Thomas. And in the mirror, or the window above my head, coming from a live feed in California, we've got Chris, the Sheik in disguise, Terrorian. Chris, how you doing?
I'm good, guys. How you doing?
And to my right, the fourth and final horseman. You know him, you love him. Zach Schmitty Smith. All right, guys. Woo! Welcome back to episode number 3. It's hard to think that we've been doing this for almost a month now.
3 months. Still no sponsors.
3 weeks.
Well,
3 weeks and still no sponsors.
the content will come. The people will watch. It will happen. Just can't expect it too soon.
Well, that's good because we're live on Twitch and the recording will be up on YouTube following this. And yeah,
Excellent.
we got Chris.
Chris live feed and
Long distance, Chris. Feels like I just saw you today, but
well, to kick it off, we'll start with this week in the WWE. What happened, with Monday Night Raw on Monday, Smackdown Live on Tuesday, and WWE NXT on Wednesday. So, first things first, we're going to start with the WWE Championship situation, what's going on into WrestleMania. On Tuesday night, there was a 10-person Battle Royal that happened for who was going to face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Did you guys watch that?
Oh, shit.
we did watch it.
Okay, so what did you think of the finish with Luke Harper and
Lots
AJ
of controversy. Lots of controversy here.
I mean, the whole AJ, Luke, who hit first. We all know who hit first. We all know how it was a botch. It happens. But they're going to continue with the plan anyway.
100%.
Yeah, it reminds me of Royal Rumble, Cena Batista both eliminating each other at the same time, and Vince McMahon running out and tearing both quads.
Probably sure that Vince, after he saw that happen, thought about running out, and he's like, "Oh, not this time! You almost got me again.
not this time."
But it does set him up for another main event, though. We got Harper, AJ Styles this week.
Yeah,
so
it's for
the number 1 contendership.
How about Nakamura throwing the challenge out to AJ Styles on Twitter?
That's true.
And then
is there a roster debut we could see here in the future?
We can only hope. We can definitely hope. I know, Zach, you don't think he's ready.
Not on the mic. I mean, no storyline for anything. It'd just be to have that match and hear that pop. I wish there was a way they could do it as a surprise, but
most people know.
Could you imagine a Nakamura WrestleMania entrance?
Oh yeah,
it'd be nuts.
No, once the first violin hit the people would go
insane.
It'd
go nuts. That or a Bobby Roode entrance. That's just all I want out of wrestling now.
Well, we'll talk about Bobby Roode more when we go into NXT. But I think, did you see what happened when? I guess I'll go over it when we go over NXT. But as I'm saying with the Battle Royal, what do you guys think is going to happen on Tuesday with Harper, AJ Styles? Who's it going to be? Is there something going to happen? Is Randy Orton or Bray Wyatt going to intervene? Did she have the opponent of his choosing?
Well, can I go to my... I had a little daydream yesterday.
Go ahead.
While at work. And I think I filled you guys in on this already, but Chris, you'll be the first one to hear this as well. I had this daydream sitting at work. So next week, there's going to be a 3-way match for the number 1 contender. It's going to be Luke Harper, AJ Styles, and a masked luchador. And the masked luchador is going to win it. And this is going to carry up to WrestleMania. You already know. There's the big reveal.
Is it that predictable? I mean,
is it that predictable?
Everybody's like CM Punk fantasy. It's like, yep, CM Punk. That's who they'd want to be.
That's true.
Right there.
But yeah, and you find out at WrestleMania it was CM Punk finally getting the WrestleMania headline he deserved.
It'll never
Obviously a daydream.
It'll never happen.
Long shot, but it was a thought I had. It's a good thought.
Chris, anything to add?
Yeah, we all have dreams. We all have dreams. But no, I down because there's no reason why they would do that unless it was just a super botch and maybe even Luke Harper was supposed to hit first, or they both were supposed to hit first, or they're both supposed to hit together, and they had this planned. But something's definitely going to go down. I don't know. I think they might set something up and maybe throw Luke Harper over. Maybe I don't know, and see a Wyatt family three-way at WrestleMania.
That's some back hill stuff right there.
Yeah, I could hear Deliverance in my mind. That's the problem with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan and even Braun Strowman is they're great wrestlers, but what do you do with them after?
It's kind of what they're doing with Braun Strowman now, which is what we saw on Raw with him going against both, Big Show in that match, and then his whole thing with Roman Reigns going on right now.
I just find it hard to push these guys because I feel like they're supporting characters to Bray Wyatt. Where Randy Orton with Legacy had Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase. They weren't anything yet. I think they're still pushing these guys too soon to do their own singles thing. I think they should have kept the dynamic of the Wyatt family, and then later on the line, once the eventual turn with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt happens, Wyatt still has the family, where now the family's gone and it's just Randy.
True. I still think there's going to be play with Randy Orton being the Viper, the snake.
Exactly.
And something's going to happen with
I
that.
think that's what most of us are expecting, like me included, that something's going to happen, Randy Orton, because he doesn't need the family. You're talking about Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, they need the family. That's their gimmick is they're part of the family.
Yep.
Randy Orton, he's got a Hall of Fame career before the family. He's going to have one after it. It's just, he doesn't need them as much as he just kind of helps push it on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So eventually Randy Orton is going to break away from the family, and it'll probably be before WrestleMania.
Or maybe we're going to see a return from Eric Rowan.
That's true.
And something's going to go down with that.
I feel like
I don't know what his status is with his injury, but maybe he's going to show up and do something, and something's going to go down with that. They could even possibly break it up and make it 2 tag teams, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton versus Eric Rowan and Luke Harper maybe, but that wouldn't really make sense. But you can never say never with WWE.
That is very true.
Very true.
I don't know if we'd see that match at WrestleMania, but I can
I
definitely...
could see that. I could see that at
down the
Extreme
line.
Rules or TLC a match.
That'd just be a main event of SmackDown.
Yeah.
I think the SmackDown main events are so much better than Raw's.
Right now they are. I feel
I
like
agree.
SmackDown's a stronger roster right now.
Well, yeah, with this week's episode of Raw, that's why we highlighted the SmackDown episode. Really, one of the main points besides talking about Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, just trying to make Roman look stronger. But the main point of Raw this week was Kevin Owens coming out and explaining his actions against Jericho and cutting a promo of how he's going to beat Goldberg and how he's going to outlast Goldberg because Goldberg's matches usually only last about 5 minutes. And so he's got more in-ring conditioning in him, and he's watched all his matches growing up, and so he knows how to beat him.
Very true. It's hard to talk about Roman Reigns, and
That's why I skipped over it.
yeah,
Not be angry.
yeah, I just have nothing good to say.
I don't think anyone does at this point. Everyone's
Guys,
so
he
sick
watches
of
the podcast.
He does?
Oh, well, I mean, if he watches, Roman your favorite.
I'm ready for this. I know we really haven't touched on the whole Goldberg Kevin Owens thing. I am just ready for that match to be over and for him to do something else. As nostalgic as it was to have Goldberg back for that the squash match with
Survivor
Lesnar,
Series.
and then the Royal Rumble, him just squashing Lesnar again. I'm just sick of it. Let's see. This next match better last more than 30 seconds.
The more I
I'm gonna
think
lose
about it, though, I think something's going to happen, and we'll go over this more with our Fastlane predictions next week, but I'm starting to think maybe Goldberg won't come out of Fastlane with the title.
You think Lesnar costs him something like that?
Something like that.
It's either going to be Lesnar costing Goldberg or it's going to be
And they're going
Jericho
to bring Stone
costing.
Cold back to be the ref.
Dreams, my friend.
Or it's going to
dreams.
be Jericho costing Owens. And I think that's, if we were putting money on it, that's what I'd put money on right now.
I almost want to
Jericho costing it for Owens.
Yeah.
See, but do you think they'll ever bring back, like, you know, how Goldberg and Jericho don't like each other, and it's been shown on screen that they don't like each other with all the rivalries that they've had in the past?
What perfect time to have Jericho help Goldberg.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's true.
on Instagram, I saw a video from the live event in Germany, and KO attacked Jericho again.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
on WWE.com as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Going over that, but it's very interesting to think about, and we'll cover that more next week since Fastlane is next week.
Yes, it is.
Podcast will be right before that.
It's kind of like WWE's unofficial kickoff show podcast.
Yeah.
They haven't acknowledged it yet, but they will.
Eventually,
It's coming.
one of these days.
And probably my favorite show of the week, NXT, with Chris Hero, a.k.a. Cassius Ono, whatever you want
Cassius
to call him.
Ono and NXT.
Whatever you
Everybody
wanna
who's
call
a
him.
fan of indie wrestling and knows him as Chris Hero.
Chris Hero's the superstar that I look up to the most because we share the same body type. So if that guy can, bring it on the stage, that still gives me hope.
Yes.
Gives me hope. I just need to grow the hair out.
I already started that.
I know.
I just got to get the body shape.
Jealous. Well, you're not far off with Chris Hero.
I overshot a little bit, so I got
Overshot a little bit.
Too
so
much
I got-
gains.
Yeah,
Too much gains.
Too much.
Well, he came back this week to confront Bobby Roode, so that came out as like a babyface. So he's going to be the babyface to Bobby Roode's heel, and he challenged for the NXT Championship. Where do you guys think is going to go with there? And I'll talk about what happened after when NXT went off the air. Who else returned?
So I think with that match, if it was Chris Hero or Cassius Ono versus Bobby Roode, possibly match of the year. It could
would be
be
fantastic. It would be glorious.
It's exactly. It's going to be a great match if we see that, and that's
There you go.
something I think NXT still never ceases to surprise me with how great
So good.
they're doing.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
it could be one of the best matches we see, especially out of NXT.
Absolutely. And I mean,
Yep.
as much as this will be a good match at the next takeover. When is the next takeover? The takeover before Mania?
I believe so. There's not one before Fastlane.
Yeah,
is
it's the
there?
one. It's one
So
before
it's right
Mania.
before
It's-
Okay, so they have some time to push a little bit of a feud. I think we'll see, a Ono Rude match for the title. But you can't have Bobby Roode, beat Shinsuke Nakamura and then lose it, the next takeover. It's as much as I want to see Rude debut on the main roster, it won't happen yet.
Yeah.
Not yet, but it's definitely coming.
Chris?
There's always next year's Rumble to see what happens.
Oh, that's way too long to wait.
There's always
Yeah.
next year's Rumble, but
That's years in wrestling.
yeah, but they might
Lifetimes,
do it.
careers.
They might do it, but the problem with NXT is I love NXT. It's just when they bring people up, there's not necessarily good talent to match them with because they have fantastic talent at NXT and they have so much to offer and they work together so well. And when we bring them up to the main roster, who are we gonna put them with? We're lagging them behind by bringing them one at a time, and then eventually match them together, and then they don't know what to do with them in between that time.
That's very true. And it
And
kind
we
of
got
push.
some good people on the main roster, but we have so much better talent in NXT, so much natural talent, and their ability just far exceeds the main people we got.
True. Well, after NXT went off the air this week, there was a huge superstar return that I didn't think would happen in NXT, but Bobby Roode, was starting to beat up on Chris Hero, or it was actually Shinsuke Nakamura, and Finn Balor came out.
Yeah.
Finn Balor
Yeah.
came out to
Yeah.
confront Bobby Roode, and I don't think they'd send anybody down because they were hurt, because he was a main attraction for the main roster.
Well,
he
he
held
won the Universal title.
no, he
First match up. Second match.
his first pay-per-view
His
appearance.
first pay-per-view, and then that was
Yeah.
also the match.
Maybe because he
towards
was
Labor.
rehabbing at the Performance Center. He's like, hey, get back on TV for
Let's get a pop for this
exactly
audience.
getting ready
You're
for
there.
it. So there could be a return in store for Finn Balor. That's when NXT got off the air. That's now one of the
That's
only.
when he's gonna be ready for Mania.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think that's a big kicker for what's happening with, now I don't think we have this up with, but Seth Rollins probably missing another WrestleMania due to injury with Samoa Joe. So that does give Finn Balor a pretty sweet spot on the card if he is able and if they can get something going.
I think if they do it like another big ladder match, not like that they did with Zack Ryder and Daniel Bryan, like an Intercontinental title or a United States Championship, and have Finn come back and win that, which gives him another championship and it gives him a boost right back into the story.
True, very true. And if Money in the Bank's coming up.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could see a Finn Balor cash in, that would be sweet.
That's actually, we're going to talk about that later when we talk about our pay-per-view of the week, when we talk about WrestleMania 21 with the first Money in the Bank match ever. But another little reverse thing, but this happened earlier in the show in NXT. There was the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne, who was the runner-up of the UK Championship Tournament, taking on Mark Andrews, who was another person who both were featured in the UK Championship Tournament. I really like what Pete Dunne brings to the table. I just hate his ring attire. He's a great, strong style wrestler that has the prowess to rival Tyler Bate, who I think is a great champion. He's super young and he carries himself very well on his shoulders. What do you think going forward with these UK superstars that they brought over? Because they're veterans overseas, but here it's like the NXT, but that's why they brought them to NXT. What do you think the future is with the UK guys? Do you think they'll do what they did with the cruiserweights and kind of give them their own 205 Live?
I hope not, actually. I think that they're talented entertainers, that they could have a fun presence on the main roster, on NXT. But Pete Dunne, he's the one who kind of looks like the Jack Swagger knockoff, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I just want to make sure. So you watch NXT, and I just moved into a new house, so I was watching it on, kind of out of the corner of my eye, but they're talented wrestlers, and it's just, I think they could do it. I think that they could have a fun spot on the main roster, especially in SmackDown.
I don't want to see them have their own show either.
Yeah, it would be a shame if
It would be.
they just lost what they had, their steam, what they're having. I think they need to establish it more, keep it going, keep it entertaining, and then make surprise appearances on the main roster in WWE. Make it bigger, have more people be watching it. Sort of like what they're doing with the NXT. How it's people prefer watching NXT over the main roster, and maybe they do that with the UK Championship stuff, and they bring they brought someone from NXT and UK up at the same time. Mm-hmm. That could be a good idea.
Yeah, I don't want to see them get their own show like the Cruiserweights, because there's so much talent there, and there's such a different style of wrestling that we see overseas compared to what we're used to seeing in WWE. So it adds more of that influence in these other styles of wrestling, kind of like what we saw with Japan. All those people coming over brought a more strong style of wrestling that we see a lot more prevalent in NXT right now, especially with Shinsuke but I think they bring their own unique style that can only help build both NXT and both the main roster shows. Yeah. So it would be a damn shame if they got put onto their own show.
I completely agree. I think that the 205 Live thing was a good thought, but think back to the old episodes of Raw and SmackDown. They really did a good job of balancing out the storylines, the matches, the feuds, where you could follow one where you had Eddie and Ray, and they were doing that feud over the Ray's son. Yeah,
that's the match we're going to talk about.
It's
the match of WrestleMania.
Different.
That was the year that they were tag team champions. And they
exactly. But just to hit the nail, on my point is, back then they had it shared. Where now it's you watch Raw to see what's happening with Kevin Owens and Jericho and Goldberg, because that's really all there is there. It's okay, you've got Roman Reigns and
Yeah,
and
don't
Seth
forget
Rollins
the
usually,
guy.
and now Samoa Joe. But back then, I mean, there were a ton of different feuds going on. You had, Cena when he feud with Edge, and those were some of the best feuds ever. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, any more finishing thoughts, Chris or Dylan?
We did miss one thing on SmackDown. Naomi forfeiting her title.
yeah.
Anyways,
was wild.
on to the next. Oh, sorry.
Well, I think we have to give them credit where credit's due. I'm not the biggest fan of the whole Low thing,
Yeah.
but you got to give them credit there.
Yeah, that's got to be a bummer to
Finally
really
go over.
finally go over and just, sorry, I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Bam.
Finn
Just like
Balor,
Finn Balor.
Well, and then the match was Alexa Bliss versus Becky Lynch.
Well,
we haven't
Alexa
seen that
Bliss.
before.
And think back, Zack Ryder, huge things were planned for him, and injury.
Injury.
He's a Band-Aid. So, it's rough. It's rough.
Chris,
puppy.
anything before we go on to the next topic?
It's just sad to see all these injuries, and you're thinking, why are so many people getting injured compared to back in the day? Who's not taking care of who? Why are they taking all these risks to get injured when back in the day they took even bigger risks and weren't getting injured? Have they been brought up too soon? Were they not trained well enough? It's really sad to see all these injuries that are stopping so much momentum.
And I feel like we had the same problem last year going into Mania, like the injury bug from 2015 to 2016
Yeah.
is, just as bad, if not worse, than 2016 into 2017.
Yeah.
Coulda,
Well,
woulda, shoulda. Oh, well.
I know that's
A lot
all
of
you can
what
say.
ifs.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
It's opportunities like that that make other superstars come out and that weren't usually going to get a chance, but maybe they shine through, things like that. But now it is time for our first individual section of the week. The Zach Attack section. Zach talks about his thoughts of the week.
Thoughts of the week. So, when I'm taking the train to work, sometimes I wander off, think about wrestling. It happens a lot more than I care to admit. But I was thinking the other day, if I could have any WrestleMania match with any wrestlers, any brand, any country, any style of match, what would it be? And I always thought it would be cool. Well, recently thought it would be cool that mine would be kind of the old guard of WCW that went to TNA and then have kind of wandered their way back to WWE. So my match would be Sting, AJ Styles, Kurt Angle versus Triple H, John Cena. I can't remember the last one.
Undertaker?
Undertaker. Obviously.
Zing.
Wow.
So that's what it would be. It would just be a killer match. All the big rivalries, all in one, and it would be glorious.
That would be fantastic. That would be something to see.
Yeah, and now I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Who would you want?
So I got a couple. My first one would be, kind of going the old school, what everybody really wanted at the time. Sting versus Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, but when they were both in their primes. I'm talking late 90s Sting versus late 90s Taker.
I would like to have seen a Sting Taker, but biker Taker.
Really?
Yeah,
I
after he's
could
kind
see
of
that
lost
too.
his mystical gimmick
Yeah.
and is just the badass. I think that would have been mine.
I would. My other one, it's hard to say. Obviously, CM Punk. But who would he go against? Probably Big Match John. No DQ for the belt.
A match we
Okay.
saw a lot.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
And I always wanted to see the Punk AJ Styles match.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Chris?
That'd be safe. I'm going to go with Bret Hart and Kurt Angle.
Okay.
That
Two
would be
very
awesome.
technical.
That would have been a match.
Awesome match.
Huh.
That would steal any show anywhere. Imagine that WrestleMania main event for the world title. If Bret Hart in his prime, Kurt Angle in his prime. It could even be a submission
I was gonna say,
And it was
that
really
would- that would be
most
dope.
entertaining.
And I got one last one, but this would burn all of our bridges with WWE ever becoming a sponsor. Eddie and Benoit WrestleMania for the belt.
Oh, yes.
That would be good.
Yeah,
That would be
that'd be good times.
that. All these what ifs, man.
That'd be,
That's what it is. I mean, that's what you think
Sure.
about. Just man, we got this, but what if it was this?
Maybe that match just happened on the other side with Benoit as a heel and Eddie's a
Maybe.
face, and I'm going to hell.
Yeah.
But
I've got one that I really want, and I think I've got a fan favorite one. Picture this: Las Vegas, Nevada, the MGM Grand,
Okay.
Triple Cage,
Triple H.
Jimmy the King versus Diamond Dallas Page
I feel like we've seen this.
for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Hold on, and $1 million.
I feel like we've seen this, and we know the outcome.
We have seen this
It's
before.
happened. We need something that hasn't.
You're
happened.
telling me Oliver Platt couldn't do that for me one time? Just kidding. But my real WrestleMania match, main event, I'd like Ultimate Opportunist Edge when he was at the top of his heel persona versus the WCW DDP, the one that was supposed to beat Goldberg at Halloween Havoc, but Goldberg fucked up the finish.
Oh,
when
yeah.
DDP was hot as shit against Edge.
Oh, that'd be-
That
That's a
would
good
be a great
matchup.
match. DDP going into the Hall of Fame this year.
He is, yep, DDP. Who was? There were other ones announced this week.
Teddy Long.
Teddy Long announced this week. I swear there was one more.
There was, but I can't remember who.
I don't remember. I hope Vader is a surprise. That'd be nice, just
Oh,
for
it'd
his
be.
last little send off.
I
The
dig it.
old guard's just dying off. They're getting too old.
Well, he's got all his heart problems and injuries from.
I'm surprised he's made it this long.
Yeah.
All that overseas stuff that he's done, his fat ass traveling on the plane.
Takes a
Anyways,
toll on you.
Moving on.
moving on, and a segment that we're going to continue from last week, eras. Talk about eras of wrestling, where the matches, events, theme music that made us just make us love wrestling even more.
We're gonna run out of eras fast.
I know. That's why we got to come. up
Always
with
something to
material.
go back to.
We'll expand and
Well, this week's era is the early 2000s, 2000 to 2005. I know that's kind of mid 2000,
great era.
but early 2000 to mid 2005. The downfall of WCW and the rise of WWE after the Monday Night Wars,
after the Attitude Era,
after the
Ruthless
invasion,
aggression.
the whole invasion angle. That's actually I'm gonna take the lead on this one. The moment that I'm probably gonna remember the most. I really liked the invasion angle that they had going. WCW bringing in all the guys, or WWE bringing in all the WCW guys to reboot the invasion angle that WCW originally started with the Outsiders and things like that. But with the Radicals coming over first, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, I know, everybody up there. I don't know. That just made me think. It's like, gosh, this is before I knew everything was storylines and kayfabe. I was like, they're really coming back. It's like they're not going to let this die. And with ECW getting involved as well, they always having the immunity because people were getting fired every week. Because they just tried to weed out the talent, who they really wanted the best of the best.
Buff Bagwell. Oh, sorry.
Rip.
Is he dead?
no,
Oh.
his career is.
We need to have a sound like a zing meter, zing.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
We could have a tally of who gets zinged the most, superstars wise. That's one for Buff Bagwell. Roman Reigns has 15 tallies already.
I think we'll just put Roman Reigns as his own.
We're gonna need a whole chalkboard for him. Him and
We'll just make
Ryback
a
and
whole
all the
screen that it will
whiners.
pull up on him.
Chris, what about you? What's your favorite moment of the early 2000s?
Eddie Guerrero winning the title.
No Way Out 2004?
2004, that's it. Just because the whole underdog thing. No, come on. No one thought Eddie Guerrero was going to win. And that was good. It was perfect Eddie fashion with Goldberg coming in, spearing Lesnar, then he tornado DDTs onto the belt.
Mm-hmm.
And
That was the reversal, right?
Yeah, it was the reversal.
That was the reversal from the F5. That was sick.
Yeah, he pulled. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, but he missed the title by like this much. Yeah. You see it.
Just like Brock missed that move.
Depending on what camera
much.
angle you watch.
And definitely the hard cam side, you could see that he
Oh
missed.
yeah, it was bad.
Definitely.
Zach?
I'm going to go with the countless matches by the Dudleys, by Edge and Christian, by the Hardys.
The amazing.
All the
tag
ladder
matches.
matches, all the backstreet brawls, all the hilarious moments, and then just waiting, just turning on Raw just so you could get a glimpse of like Tori Wilson and Trish and Lita and Sable at the time. Even though Sable was a bit over the hill then, it was still nice because it was hard to see boobs when you were young. It was tough. You had to work for it.
Yeah, the internet was not what it is today.
Not available by the click of a mouse.
Little miracles.
You had the little dial-up modem, and by the time it came up, your parents already caught on to what you were doing.
So yeah, that would be mine. All those matches.
My favorite part of that era would be the talent that we had. So much countless talent. Starting, Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, Triple H at his prime, Cena coming in, Batista, Triple H, Ric Flair, the whole evolution.
Randy Orton.
There was so much talent, and that was when we were getting the end of Taker, and he comes back as Biker Taker, and there was so much that they had to work with, and they were able to pull off all these different matches, and all these people could work with each other. We didn't overextend rivalries as much as we see now, and there was just countless amount of people that you could throw into the mix.
I completely agree, but Dylan, you forgot one crucial wrestler that you just could not. Actually, two, and one was a superhero. So you can't forget. You cannot forget the Hurricane.
I was honestly about to say
what you talking about.
And I know we're gonna speak to this soon, but just the damn Eugene angles.
Oh my god, the amount of stuff they got away with at that time.
Those ones you're just like, oh, this would not fly today.
Oh, that and the Muhammad Hassan.
Oh, that.
Speaking of the paper,
anyway,
good old bigotry.
Let's put the Italian guy
and
FBI.
No, that
Muhammad Hassan was Italian.
Yeah, he was like
but
Canadian,
they portrayed him
Italian,
as Middle Eastern.
Could you just imagine Vince in that creation meeting, like, what do you think, guys? He kind of looks like a Haji, doesn't he? Yeah, I think so. Let's do that.
Well, they portrayed him as an Arab, and Davari is from Iran, so he's Persian, and he's speaking Farsi and yelling Farsi the whole time.
Jeez. I was always curious what he was yelling. Just like, I wonder if he's just saying something really nice, and it just sounds terrifying.
I love being in the same ring as you guys.
He's saying the funniest stuff. Like, I speak Farsi, my dad does, and he would watch it with me, and he just starts cracking up laughing, and I could understand some of the words, and it's just really funny insults in Farsi, and it was good. It was just like a subtle pop for all the Persian fans that were just listening and just crying of laughter at what he's saying.
That's funny.
It was good. It was entertaining, except for it was super racist and terrible.
Of course. Once again, probably one of the main driving reasons for the PG era in general. Anyways, okay. Well, the last, real topic that we have for the early 2000s is favorite theme of the 2000s, Ooh. What was the song that made you go, hell yeah?
Time to play the game.
Oh, man. I still get goosebumps when I hear that song. I hate his Hail to the King entrance.
Yeah,
it is so dumb.
King of
He makes water look cool. He makes him look tough as shit.
Yeah, it's spitting out the water as he gets on the ring.
He does.
That was.
I remember when they went through the whole alternative phase, with their themes, and they had the album that came out where all the alternative artists would do theirs. But my favorites was Kane's. Just the
Slow Chemical?
Yeah, with Finger 11, I think is who it was. That just rocked.
Yeah.
And Kane at the time was awesome. He was in the best shape. He was. I think if he would have kept going, he would have got a good push. And maybe had a good title run.
He was scary to watch.
Well, that
That's
thing
what
with
he
him
brought
and
to
Rob
it.
Van Dam. I mean, that was killer. I missed
Awesome
that.
tag team.
That was Dylan.
I already said.
Oh no, you
mine.
did, Chris. Sorry.
Rey Mysterio.
The first one, the Booyaka, or the first one?
The first one.
Who's that jumping up the
Yeah, where he
sky?
comes flying out. That
Okay.
was awesome.
That was a
That
whole
was
great
great. That
performance
was
on that.
entertaining.
I think we all know what Zane's is, but we'll hear it anyway. You gotta be careful though.
And I'm so surprised that this is what you've chosen.
Why?
Well, I mean,
I thought it would be Jeff Hardy.
yeah, me too.
That's the early 2000s.
What?
His
No, what?
individual theme song did not come out until like 2007.
But it still sounds the same. The Hardy Boys.
Right.
one.
I like that one, but I like his individual one better.
Okay.
Before I was the huge Jeff Hardy fan that I am.
I'm just saying.
I was a Rob Van Dam one. I was so pissed because he was always feuding with Triple H in the early 2000s
Oh, they were
for
so
the World
good.
Heavyweight Championships. They had great matches, but they never put Rob Van Dam over.
Never.
You know, until
if you put a shovel in Triple H's hands, he'll bury anyone he can.
Triple H, the only guy that can bury you with a sledgehammer.
Very, very true.
And looking back at that now, I'm pissed about it, but I was such a big Triple H fan at the time.
He was.
But
a
I was
badass.
also a huge RVD fan. I loved RVD. He was one of the guys
Oh,
that
we
got
were
me
all
into it.
marks back in the day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
100%.
Going into this week's pay-per-view of the week, WrestleMania 21 as the theme. You know, WrestleMania is coming up, and it was WrestleMania Goes Hollywood. And, you know, I think this is an overall great event. You know, Mania is always a spectacle of the year in the sports entertainment industry. You know, there are a lot of matches. You know, there's a lot of events, things that happen, you know. But we're going to talk about WrestleMania 21 this week. The first match to kick it off was Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. This was actually Eddie's last Mania. And with this one, we're going to have Chris take the lead on this one. Chris, what are you going to say about this one?
First of all, with all of WrestleMania 21, all I could think of was Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame. Everyone in there, Hall of Fame. Everyone. It was a stacked card. And this match to open up Mania, incredible choice. It was absolutely incredible. It started off a little mat wrestling, you know, building up, and then they just got to showcase all their skill, Eddie and Rey's chemistry that they've had all throughout the years, you know, wrestling in Mexico together, Japan, you know, WCW, and ECW, and all of that just coming together, and it was just one hell of a classic. You know, every time you put those guys in the ring together, you're not going to be disappointed. You know, they each give 110% each time, and it was a fantastic match. And, you know, the angle was really good. They're both tag team champions together, and Eddie feeling a little inferior to Rey, saying he can't beat him. And, you know, you got that little Latino heat coming out, you know, really aggressive, stiff shots, and it was good. It was really good, amazing to open up WrestleMania.
I like how you said Hall of Fame. Everyone in that WrestleMania was Hall of Fame. Because if you look at the Hall of Fame inductee class that year, that was an amazing class.
Yeah.
We had Iron
That was
Sheik,
stacked.
Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, and
Paul Orndorff.
Paul Orndorff, and
Nikolai Volkov.
Cowboy Bob Orton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a ton.
Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart. That's right. There were so many. So that's
But do you think that was bad that they did that with the Hall of Fame? They had such a stacked card that maybe they should have, you know, spread it out a little more, because now we're seeing a lot of superstars where you're just like, okay, you know, if the Hall of Fame isn't what it used to be.
yes and no. I understand what you mean by it might have been overstacked, but at the same time, all those guys were, you know, ready and deserving to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when, well, I mean,
Oh, no, definitely, hands down.
And
And they all had something to do with each other, you know, Sheik and Volkov and, you know, Bob Orton, Jimmy Hart, and Hogan. They all were intermingled together. You can all see storylines with all of them.
And it
That
was
really nice.
it was Hollywood too, so you got to put your big stars in when the WrestleMania is in Hollywood.
Can I just say, just thank God that Triple H has had a little bit more of influence now that he's more on the back office. Because you look at, WrestleMania back then looked like a a poor house show now, like in comparison to some of the grand ones that we've had lately, as far as venues and as far as like guests and the performances that they have. I mean, 21 was good, but man, think of it now. Think of what the entrances, the things that they could have done with those guys now.
Yeah, because it was not more of like an entertainment spectacle kind of things that WrestleMania is now. With like, they do the interpromotional stuff like Triple H did against Sting with the Terminator. And all the John Cena entrances,
the Undertaker entrances.
The Undertaker
21 when the monks come down.
21, with the torches.
That gave me goosebumps watching it again.
That one was
that
rad.
match.
I still love, even though it's NXT, I love that first Shinsuke entrance with the violinist. Incredible.
Yeah, that was sick.
Quick fact: does anyone know how many people were in attendance at this event? It's actually rather small compared to normal WrestleManias.
21,000.
I'm gonna
You
say
saw it when I pulled.
I
it up.
honestly didn't.
I was gonna say
honestly did
somewhere
not.
around like 18.
It was something really small, and it was Staples Center, right?
Yeah, I was in the Staples Center. I mean, you can't really fit as many people in that, but for a WrestleMania, you got the Silver Dome, brother, 80,000 Hulkamaniacs, and then you got like
Levi Stadium a couple of years ago was huge.
No, I know, but like it was 20,000 people. 20,193 people were in attendance.
I feel like wrestling's more popular nowadays, even though just like that. I mean, we loved it, but now you see with like social media and with things going on that it's popular. A lot of people are very passionate about this, and it's fun to see. Be able to talk with someone that you would, it's like you talk about wrestling sometimes with people that don't know it. It's just like, it's just something I like.
I know, like I talked to someone at work this week, and they're like, "Oh, the silly wrestling." I'm like, rolling my eyes. Yeah, that. Oh, my boyfriend likes it. I'm like, yeah, you're dumb.
Yeah, you're dumb.
You're dumb.
But it's just, I'm just happy that the it's really now the grandest stage. Like, really, you go out there and you see it with them. Like, I watched last year's WrestleMania, and just when I saw Kevin Owens come out, and he looks out and looks down at the giant, like, Titantron floor that they have for them.
Yeah,
I mean, that's got to be the coolest experience to.
Oh yeah.
And to have like those guys back in the day, have your Eddies, your Hogans, Kurt Angle. Guys, still praying for a Kurt Angle WrestleMania. Not just the Hall of Fame induct, but just see that pop when his music hits and everybody yells "You suck." I mean, that's got to be like coming home to him. Just like I'm finally back.
Yeah. Well, the next match on the card was the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match. Idea, brainchild of Chris Jericho, and funny enough, he's in the first match, but he has never won the match, which I think is kind of cool. You come with an idea like that. It's not like you expect to win just because you created it. But I've got one word to describe it. I think it was incredible with like the talent that was in it. They were some of the most athletic guys in the company at the time.
Fantastic.
There was one guy that shouldn't have been there, but he wasn't really in the match. He was the manager. He was with Christian, guys, and Tom Cole.
Yeah.
But with Y2J, Kane, Christian, Edge, Shelton Benjamin, and Chris Benoit, that was talent on talent, world champions on world champions, except for Shelton Benjamin. Even though he brought the athleticism to the table, I think he was one of the talents WWE passed on, and hopefully he recovers from his injury soon. I don't know if he was a main event player there, back in that time, when he was beating Triple H. He pinned Triple H as the World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah.
He never lost to him. But, I mean, why did this match set the tone for one of the best ideas in sports entertainment history? Title opportunity within 12 months. The razzmatazz with the cash in. It could be any time, at any place. Why?
Another cool dynamic that I believe that Chris Jericho had the idea for the cash-in options at any time as well, where it would lead up to these long engagements where someone like CM Punk would he would fake one or
just to build hype.
Yeah, just to build it, be like, I'm coming for you. You never know when it's going to happen, and then he so anyway.
That was one of the greatest matches of any WrestleMania, I think,
I
because obviously it was the first
Yeah.
Money in the Bank, but it also may have possibly been the best one.
How terrible was Christian's entrance music back then, though?
It was awful.
Oh.
It was the coolest song, but it was just
Well,
sung
the
by that
song's
chick.
cool, but it's only cool when they did it on his return.
Yeah.
When it was a little more hard, but
Yeah.
it was just brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Shelton Benjamin was one of the most underrated talents back then.
So awesome.
He was fantastic in the ring. You could put him against anybody, and he could help carry a match.
Yeah.
But with that match, I think Edge winning it was awesome. We saw, because that's kind of where
the ultimate opportunist.
exactly, he's got the ultimate opportunist out of him with that, and him cashing it in alone was amazing. But just to see him win the first one ever too, Chris Benoit with stitches over his eyes,
What was it?
The
25
headbutt off the ladder.
that
was
just
sweet.
burst
Oh.
open.
Man, he made a spot like that look cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see that anymore. You don't see someone taking that type of
Riz.
fall and just
Straight on their head
Yeah.
too, which may explain a lot.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, Chris, anything to add?
It was awesome match. There's not much to say about it. You can't criticize it. All you can do is praise it.
it was one of those matches as a fan you watch and you realize this is why I'm a fan.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Well-
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. With the the thought of Money in the Bank, it has its own pay per view now. But like, I mean, I want to take one of my individual things to talk about. This year, Money in the Bank. Who do you think deserves it? Who's the one guy that deserves Money in the Bank right now?
Cesaro.
I was going to say Cesaro or even maybe Rusev.
I just
I
don't
don't
like
see
Rusev as a
Rusev.
character. I mean,
I think they're
Rusev.
making him more silly now. Like the whole thing they had with New Day and I thought it was hilarious
The ice
on
cream,
Raw, but
the recipe.
the Russian hacking.
Yeah.
And, New Day. Oh my God, what's his name?
But no, I agree with that.
yeah,
Cesaro. When
Woods
he was,
comes out.
He was super hot. He still is. He gets the crowd going, and God, imagine him winning it.
he's a
bring a
solid
lot of
heel.
people back,
He's a
maybe.
solid heel.
He's a solid wrestler. He's a solid heel, but I don't think I would want to see him win a Money in the Bank.
No, definitely not. That's someone you either want a solid heel to win it, or you have to have your face go over. And that's something that this year I think that I don't think Ambrose should win it again.
I'll throw one out for you. AJ Styles.
He deserves it. He has to have the strap. It's silly that they took it away from him already.
Yeah.
But that happened fast with the switch from Styles to Cena to Wyatt. Obviously, I'm happy with Wyatt having it, but hopefully next year Styles gets it back because that guy. He puts butts in the seats.
He definitely does.
Yeah.
I think with me, there's two guys that I think deserve it. I think one of these two guys will get it. I think Finn Balor, he's coming back,
Of course.
or Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's one of those
Sami
guys
Zayn.
that could have the underdog persona. It's like kind of what Seth Rollins had going 2 years ago. I'm not putting them on the same level, but the same atmosphere. Like when Seth Rollins cashed it in at WrestleMania, like that. I could see Sami Zayn cashing it in on like Kevin Owens and
That
something
would
like
be
that.
awesome.
If Kevin Owens is still holding the Universal Championship, I don't think Sami Zayn will be a WWE champion unless the brand they redraft or anything. I could see him being a Universal champion and taking the strap from Kevin Owens, and I feel like Kevin Owens would gladly put him over.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think so,
He'd be a great IC champion too.
That's when we talk about if they do like another Intercontinental Championship or United States Championship ladder match, I think Sami Zayn will win that.
Yeah, that would be solid.
He doesn't get the push he deserves, I don't think. He's a solid talent, and Raw, with their weaker roster, needs to utilize him more.
I agree, and I feel like the push choices that they go after are very, very strange.
Very strange.
Um,
Raw seems almost more like the comedic show.
Yeah,
Like the one you watch for a good laugh and entertainment, and SmackDown's the one where you go to for the performance of wrestling.
For the most part, yeah, I would definitely
One's
say
for the
that.
show, one's for the.
You've got the big names really that come to Raw. But you've got John Cena and you've got AJ Styles and the WWE champion. I mean, as much as they keep making these other championships, I mean, the whole new belts. I mean, obviously they have to keep evolving, but I miss having a World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship. I always thought that was cool. When then they brought them together,
I
was just like,
unified title.
I always thought that was silly. It's because why would you give one guy both of these when you have so much talent
that you could push?
Yeah, exactly.
And you have two of the most prestigious titles, and you're just going to throw it into this one less meaningful title.
Yeah, it's
than
like
the two
okay.
separate ones.
Yeah.
But you do have to put the past behind you, and I understand that. I just wish it would have been a little different. The Universal title is just so ugly.
The red is pretty
wearing a big fucking red rocket just right on your waist. It's awful.
Yeah.
Well, next match, another good instant classic, I thought, and it was a building point for one of the superstars in this. Really jump-started his heel persona, is Undertaker versus Orton.
The legend killer.
The legend killer, Randy Orton. He's going through that phase. I think this one really took him off as a heel because, he's taking out legend after legend. There's countless list of people that he would attack, and I swear he spit in Mae Young's face or something.
Dude, he was a great heel.
He got so much heat over that too.
No,
all
exactly.
of those bits he did with the legend killings.
And then he'd RKO Stacy Keibler.
Yeah.
That was
that's right.
One of the things that you still see today on videos.
Memes,
Him going for the kiss and then RKO. Just out of nowhere.
Simpler times. Well, I think with him, working with it, he was still young at that time. He'd only won the World Championship a year before, being the youngest World Heavyweight Champion in history at 24. I think with him getting to work with all those talents like Undertaker, Triple H, Batista, all those guys that were over talents, that just put him over more as giving him more experience and things like that. I thought the match was good. I didn't really like the involvement of his dad. His dad was too old, and he hit him with his cast and stuff. Even though there were times where you think that Taker's going to lose the streak, but this is talking, what was that? 12 years ago?
Long time.
12 years, 2005.
Yeah. Just talking about that and, the streak, the elusive streak that The Undertaker had. I thought it was a solid match as well. There were good spots. Undertaker could move around a little bit more, as we're saying, hindsight, he moved a little bit better than he does now.
Yeah, he was nimble.
Yeah.
He could pull those moves off now. I think he'd have a hard time doing, as much as we still want to see one last Taker match where he just does what he does best, doing snake eyes, suicide dive over the top rope,
old school.
We'll never see another suicide dive over the top rope.
No,
it'll kill him.
Break. Yeah.
It'll kill him.
Yeah.
But he was it back then, and the cool thing about it, especially with Randy Orton, is Vince doesn't have. He has it, but he doesn't have the influence he has with other matches. Where with Taker, he'll get Taker's input. He'll be like, "Hey, what do you think of this kid? You think you could work with him? You think we could put him over, be a future champion one day?" And if Mark doesn't give him the okay, let's work with him, let's do it, give me a match with him, then you know he's not going to be big. Because look at all the people that Undertaker's has had matches with at WrestleMania. You've got a few lemons. I think didn't he fight Heidenreich once at WrestleMania?
Giant Gonzalez.
Okay, but that
he fought Mark Henry.
Okay, so Mark Henry will still be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He's still been around since the beginning, but you're not gonna he fought Heidenreich once, but everybody else that he fought still some involvement and still great talents.
Yeah.
That if they were not properly utilized, they're still having a good career somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, kind of my go at it.
Yeah.
I agree. It was a great match, though.
It was nice to see Taker move again. That was good to see. A little more.
The Taker that we remember.
Now, I almost forgot how he's able to move, and I think I shot you guys a text holy crap, it's been a minute since I've seen him run the ropes like that, do old school even and dive out. And he looked good. He didn't,
Oh, yeah.
look healthy.
Yeah.
True. And when the streak was going on back then, what do you think the theory is when they came up the streak, like with it, like, oh, WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania he appeared at, he's like, we're gonna have you go 20-0, 21-0, or do you think it was just coincidental? After like 7 or 8 years, they're like, you haven't lost to WrestleMania, have you? No. Let's work with this.
We should do a little research and find the first time that they mentioned the streak, because I think that is when we'll be like, okay, they started at this point. Because I don't think they started it from the beginning. Like,
No.
you're gonna have this career where, because I mean, when he came out as like the mortician, no one probably thought like this guy's gonna be like one of the biggest names in the company's ever had.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have this long WrestleMania streak. Like, I just don't see that happening. So I think it was once he hit a certain point, they were like, we could do something big.
Roll
with
with this. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when they brought him out, it was the fear angle. I mean, everybody was afraid of The Undertaker. The music, his appearance. I mean, when we were kids, that was the scariest shit to us.
Oh yeah.
Couldn't think of a bigger nightmare. But the fact that he's still around, I think, it's so damn impressive.
You don't
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Next match that I thought stole the show personally, but it was just like 10 minutes too long. It was the HBK Shawn Michaels. The last 5-10 minutes.
First, you thought that match stole the show?
Yeah.
I thought it was Christy Hemme versus Trish Stratus.
Ooh, Christy Hemme, I miss her.
I skipped that match.
I think I did too. You can't really talk about.
It was a good match.
You can't.
Trish Stratus.
There are some win matches that we can talk about in the future, like the Trish Stratus and Lita, that were actually great matches. That main evented Raw. But like these 4-minute squash matches that you talk about, you can't. It's not worth the people's time. You can't waste people's time talking about 4-minute matches. Where they do a lot of botched stuff. But there are great women's matches that are out there.
Now.
It's true.
And between.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's not worth the time to talk about if it's something like that. That's
True.
what.
Okay.
Yes. Anyways, HBK angle. It was a great match. Great competitors. They were both pretty much on their way out of the WWE. But I thought the final 5 minutes, where Shawn Michaels would not tap to the ankle lock. But it happened 6 times.
I think the last exchange, though, when he finally did tap, how he's rolling and trying to flip
that was
out
cool.
of it,
That was cool.
Yeah.
But there was the
That
5
was
minutes
perfect.
in between from that.
No, I agree.
That was way too long.
A little too dragged on. I think they said, "Hey, we're giving you this much time," and they were they didn't want to maybe do too big of spots because they didn't want to risk any injuries on their way out. So they just kind of stuck it to more mat wrestling during that time.
But that was kind of the mystique of Kurt Angle. Not only was he a great competitor, but he had that amateur Olympic background, and that's what was cool to watch him. Throw a suplex just hard and be able to mat wrestle so fluidly.
Yeah.
And Shawn Michaels being one of the better, if not the best, technical wrestler at the time, going against a properly trained Olympian.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you can ask for right there.
What about the spot where the table didn't break?
It looked painful.
It hurts.
It looked so cool with Shawn Michaels coming off the ropes, but when he hit, they just score him a little bit.
Yeah, that is the worst, when the fucking Spanish announce table doesn't break.
It wasn't even the Spanish announce table.
Oh, was
it?
it?
Michael Cole and Taz.
Yeah, it was Michael Cole and Taz. God, can we just thank God
If
Taz
it was
is not...
Spanish table, it would have gone down 100%.
Oh yeah, they don't reinforce the Spanish table.
No. Can we all be thankful that Taz is no longer an announcer? Oh,
It was
Gotta be kidding me!
it was so ridiculous.
I used to like him at the time, but now watching anything back like that WrestleMania.
I rarely liked him as a wrestler. It was just, it's like, cool. This guy wears a washcloth on his head when he walks out of the ring, and all he does is submissions. Cool.
Yeah, he is.
True.
Just bring back JR, that's all we need.
I know.
He's over in New
Do you guys
Japan.
listen to the Ross Report? Awesome.
Is
the
it?
podcast that he does?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's almost as good as the Four Horsemen wrestling podcast.
Give us a listen, JR. Let us know what you think.
We'll buy some barbecue sauce.
All the barbecue sauce.
I'll drench the barbecue sauce on me midstream, just
Midstream.
And then this is another match that we're going to talk about very little. because it is just like a squash match, and I thought it was just a publicity thing. The Akabono sumo match with Big Show. It literally was a minute and a half long.
All right, going on to John Cena versus JBL.
Let's not even talk about it.
See? Anyways, okay.
That is a way.
Hold on, wait. I feel like we've skipped something big. When the whole Eugene and
the very
Hulk Hogan,
the bear.
we missed that abortion of a segment. Oh my hell! I have never been so uncomfortable watching wrestling.
I forgot how offensive the whole Eugene thing was.
Oh,
I watched
so
that and I was
bad.
like, oh, I remember Eugene. Oh shit.
Remember when he was like?
Yeah, I remember.
Remember when he was William Regal's like lackey?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Just I was like, oh. Anyway,
Do you know that was his? That was
his idea.
Nick. What's his last name? Nick something. But that was his angle. That's what he wanted to do with Eugene. He wanted to be the special character, the mentally.
It got over at the time, but looking back, especially now.
Well, yeah, but then you
So
know
cringe.
It's
you have literally Hulk Hogan coming out with the heaviest shovel and the biggest pile of dirt, and Muhammad Hassan
in
is still
wrestling
there.
history.
He's still there. He's still 6 feet under.
Yeah.
Muhammad Hassan.
I think he really went under, when the whole Undertaker him versus Undertaker
at SummerSlam.
No, not SummerSlam. Great American Bash.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Oh my hell.
Because you never saw him on TV again, and he was actually supposed to win the title then, but then
Really?
they got so much heat because there was the
Terrorist thing.
attack in the London subway,
Yeah.
and they basically pulled the angle after that.
Smart though.
Oh,
It's
it's
rough,
smart,
rough draw for him.
Well, it's crazy that I
It
guess
sucks that he got thrown in that
it was
position.
bad enough that they couldn't repackage him as someone.
Oh, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. He's forever
he's-
viewed as that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But anyway, I know we forgot that, so I just had to bring that up because it was just eating at me.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things as fans we like to remember fondly, and some things we choose to forget.
Things that we don't like to.
Things we don't think about too much, and that's one of them.
Well, this was also a very important moment in WWE history. One Big Match John was created by the man
Big
that he's
Match
facing.
John.
The man that he's facing, JBL, the man who gave him that nickname. The first world title that he ever had to now the 16 that he has now. Why do you think JBL's stiff style, stiff with his punches, stiff with his clotheslines, why did that help put John over as a face while elevating, JBL as a heel? Because he was SmackDown's longest reigning champion.
A wrestling god.
A wrestling god.
Because you saw the never give up, never quit thing with Cena, and it just turned into the whole persona from that.
Overcoming all the odds, even though he's taking stiff punches, taking all these hard hits, he still gets up, he still gets fired up. It's like the Hulkamania thing of the.
It was the Hulk
blocking
replacement
the punch,
thing that he had going on. It was it was the Hulk replacement that he had going. That was great for 10 years. When the next draft came along, he was the first pick, and he came to Raw with the WWE Championship.
It was the birth of of what he would become when he started to. He had that ruthless aggression, and then the thugonomics thing, which I personally didn't like at the time, but now I look back and I just laugh.
It was hilarious.
It's awesome.
It was a gimmick.
And then back to the 5 moves of doom. You can't see me. Never give up.
He
He
doesn't
that
do
shit.
the running hip toss anymore. I was
No,
watching that match, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
There was one that was really badly botched in that match. So he goes to hip toss JBL, and he's like behind him, and you can just see JBL jump in front flip.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty bad, but
I never felt like JBL's sells were good. It was just
he was just the
it was just an
the rough
interesting
and tough
thing.
beat you up guy.
That match overall was mediocre, but what the match was big. But the match itself was mediocre. It was okay.
I thought it was a decent.
And it was
I think it was
short.
more of a turning point. It was short because I bet JBL his milk juggies, he couldn't go for 15, 20 minutes. But John Cena's not really. He wasn't known for going for long matches at that time either.
He was still,
True.
they were making
He was
him
still
look
pretty
strong.
green, yeah.
Well, they were also making him look very strong at the time, and that carried on for years and years up to now.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, he is what he is. But
True. And the main event of that show, Triple H versus Batista. Batista had won the Royal Rumble that year, with the whole John Cena angle where they botched the finish.
Yeah, that was that year.
And it was the final straw in the original Evolution, Batista with the infamous thumbs down, when he signed the contract that he was going to go to SmackDown, but putting Triple H through that table. I think that, I thought it was a good main event because this was before, Batista got super large and big that he couldn't really wrestle and move around anymore. So I don't think it was much of a backpack match. Triple H didn't carry the match. I thought that they both, for the big strong guys that they are, they're the bodybuilder type of wrestlers. But I thought it was actually a good match. That elevated Dave to be a bona fide main event player.
The worst part of that match, which I kind of mentioned to you guys before, Lemmy forgetting the words to Triple H. I mean, rest in peace, Lemmy.
Was he drunk?
I'm
pretty sure he was drunk.
He probably drank 2 bottles of Jack before that.
Okay.
He was like, it was everything. Oh, dirt. Smoking gun. It was like he had too much fun backstage before.
Yeah,
and he's like, I played this song once for you guys to record as your entrance. I've never played it since. It's not like a staple in Motorhead show.
Very true.
Which it should be, though. Great tune.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore, but rest in peace, Lemmy.
Yep.
Yeah, but putting Dave over, Drax the Destroyer.
Triple H finally put somebody over instead of burying him.
My reflexes are too fast.
But
I wish we actually had that queued up as a clip.
Shit.
From him from Guardians of the Galaxy. My reflexes are too quick.
Rookie mistake.
Any producers out there, give us a call. We would love to get some.
Or sponsors. I want free stuff. I love free stuff.
We'll talk about you all the time.
I'll say great things.
Wise
Great
words
things.
from SBK.
Even if it's Roman Reigns, we'll say good
We'll
things.
do it.
Roman Reigns, throw $5 our way, and you got a 30-minute segment of how you are. Yeah, $5.
You had 4 zeros behind that $5, and then we're in.
I'd even take $500.
I'll take
or
$5 under the
Whoa.
table and screw these guys, and I'll say great things about you.
Think about it. The only podcast that endorses Roman Reigns. I don't think that exists. We could be the first. Roman, we could be the first. Not likely.
Anyways,
But
all in all, that Mania was great.
very great Mania.
As it always is. Well,
I really like that Batista match. Is great. It's 2 big guys moving. That's what more could you ask for? And they both looked strong, but Dave looked stronger. But Triple H still kept his composure of still being, a bona fide badass.
Yeah, of course.
And
And
the Ric Flair on the side, that was awesome. I love seeing him choking.
always banging on the mat. Just
we forgot that Ric Flair was in the Money in the Bank match.
No, he wasn't.
He was, wasn't
Not
he?
that year.
Not in this
Oh,
one.
it wasn't. It was the year after. That's
No.
right.
I named all the guys that were in.
2006.
What we did fail to mention, though, was actually a great segment during Mania between...
Roddy Piper and Stone Cold.
No, that was good too.
That was
But no, it was
good, too.
between JBL and Triple H and Flair.
In
Oh,
the
it would be.
backstage.
And you
of
had
the
Orlando
the
Jordan.
cabinet and Evolution.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty funny,
That was-
back and forth. You had Triple H with his god-awful mutton chops.
Yeah.
Well, his
And-
Lemmy.
his
uniform.
Lemmy, and then you had Flair. Flair just looks like he's too hopped up on Adderall, just popping out. Woo! Woo! And just, it's hilarious. But that segment with those two was funny.
It was good. I also like the Piper's Pit.
Yeah, the Piper's Pit.
When
I
Carlito
fell asleep a
comes
little bit
out
when I
and,
watched
uh,
that.
Roddy Piper
Piper
eats
takes
the
the
whole
apple.
apple.
Spits it in his face in Carlito's face.
Give me a rough count. How many beers do you think they went through right there in that segment?
Too many.
Because I think
Oh,
Stone Cold
man.
had 8 by himself. Roddy Piper was struggling with 3. Stone Cold double bash and... But he literally did it, he did it 4 times in the ring, so there's 8. And then he did it 2 more times on the entrance. So he must have had 12 in the span of 2.5 minutes.
True, easily, but I mean...
You miss a lot of beer, but that's still a lot of beer.
Of course, but still, I mean, nobody did it better than Stone Cold. But yeah, I mean, I know they have a... cooler on hand whenever he's there just to toss them
Oh,
up.
there's a 30 rack just
Oh,
waiting
yeah.
for him.
It's still not enough sometimes.
Do you imagine, like Justin Roberts just fucking beers at Stone Cold? It's like, I could just imagine him throwing them, like, just like... Whenever they miss him, he's just like, come on, son, pick up your aim, bud. What are you, a girl or something?
I dig it.
Goes down and stunners him.
I know. Well,
Mom's
on
in
to
the
our
crowd,
next
stunner her.
personal sections. You know, it's critically acclaimed by our man, joined live via satellite. Remember when they used to do that?
Oh,
Live
yeah.
via satellite.
Yeah.
There.
We have the Crisaro section.
You got to do it at him.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. I
He's in
did
the
it.
sky.
Chris, what do we got? What do you got for us this week?
All right, this week. So I was thinking about it, and I was wondering what during those early 2000 times would, change the game if we had it today.
The roster.
Hardcore
Gimmick,
matches.
character,
The roster, if we had that line of people mixed in with the talent we have today.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, that's asking too much, but
yeah.
I wish that we could
You
just
need 5
boost it. I
positions.
mean, as much as just bump it to PG-13. Bring back the hardcore matches. I miss seeing a rough spot with a chair because they don't.
They're never
go
going to do
hard.
headshots with chairs anymore.
I know, but I just miss it.
concertos and
You watch those Japanese matches where they're just
like barbed wire on
man.
for
Like,
the
that's a-
apron.
it's like anybody who watched that, like, yeah, wrestling's fake. Watch a New Japan match where you've got two guys that are just beating
Taking
the
shots at each
shit
other.
out of each
Just
other.
look up Japanese wrestling Japanese death matches. It's disgusting. It makes CZW look like backyard kids.
Ugh. Even the women in those matches though,
That's
are
ridiculous.
just nuts. Like I would not take that spot. Like,
No.
and I mean, not that we have ever taken a spot as much as to our dismay as we've all
taken trampolines.
I was gonna say I've
spots.
taken a bump on a tramp before.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we would love
was
to have
last
that
Thursday
happen, but
night. Boots,
some of those
wasn't
shots
there.
that those women take are unbelievable. Like,
Oh, yeah.
no fucking way in hell will I take that spot. No way.
Even like Natalia versus Nikki Bella's backstage brawl or
Yeah.
whatever it was on SmackDown this week.
You think John is upset that Nikki's STFU is
Better
looks
than
more
his.
painful than his?
Possibly.
Pretty funny.
I'm sure he still gets all he wants out of that.
Sure.
Well,
Lucky guy.
He is a very lucky guy. So, as we're coming to the conclusion of our show this week, we're going to announce next week's pay-per-view of the week. I think, Chris, did you choose last week?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I chose WrestleMania.
And I chose the week before. Zach, you want to choose a
Ooh.
pay-per-view this week?
Let's do Vengeance 2003.
I was thinking that one. I don't know why. I just had a feeling you were going to say that
Sweet.
one.
Was that's not the
So
Undisputed Championship match, is it? What year is that? that was
that
Vengeance.
so
7.
Oh, no. Vengeance 2003. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, we'll have to edit this out.
Oh, no, we don't. We'll just keep going.
I've got it.
World
So
matches.
okay, so Vengeance 2003 match card. Big one. We've got Biker Undertaker. That's his
That's
era. But we've got
So I remember he was like the poster for that.
we've got Ultimo Dragon versus Chris Canyon. Eddie Guerrero
Awesome.
versus Chris Benoit
Good one.
for the
Great match.
United States Championship.
That's the one I remember.
Jamie
most.
Noble with Nydia versus Billy
Tough
Gunn and
enough
Tori
shout out.
Wilson.
Okay, I remember that angle.
We've got, and then I know we talked about this last week. This is why I was thinking about that. We've got the APA Invitational. So
Ballroom
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Brother Love,
Yeah.
Shannon Moore, Doink the Clown, Farouk, all the FBI guys, the Bashams, Sean O'Hare, the Easter Bunny, Orlando Jordan, Funaki, or a lot more. Chuck Palumbo's another decently big name.
He was.
We've got the world's greatest tag team champions, Charlie Haas, Shelton Benjamin, taking on Kidman and Mysterio. The
Rey
old,
Mysterio.
the old filthy animals.
Yeah.
And then Sable versus Stephanie McMahon. Undertaker, Cena. McMahon versus Zach Gowen.
man.
That one's going to be tough to watch.
That is.
And then we've got the triple threat for the WWE Championship: Big Show,
This
Lesnar,
was a SmackDown
and Kurt Angle.
I like covered that match.
So pretty good
Whenever
stuff.
you
Pretty
say
good
hard,
stuff.
remember all this.
Well,
Good event.
Vengeance 2003. Next pay-per-view. And now it is time for one of our closing segments, the Move of the Week with our friend Dylan FBK Thomas. Dylan, what do we got this week?
So, we're always trying to improve this stream or this podcast and make it better for everyone watching. So this week, it's taking a little trip back to New Japan Pro Wrestling when Shinsuke Nakamura was there, and the move is the Bombier or the running knee.
Kinshasa. Insert, what's his name?
Is that AJ
That's AJ
Styles?
Styles. That was their match at Wrestle Kingdom.
He took a good one. That was just that would be a great WrestleMania match.
Even though I don't like him much as an announcer, I love when Corey Graves calls Kinshasa!
You know,
Like,
watching NXT this week, I missed Corey Graves. I do like the new, the British announcer.
Nigel McGuinness?
I think he brings a good dynamic, and he's that heel announcer, kind of like King would do at times. JBL does.
Yeah.
Corey Graves. I feel like as much as Corey Graves, it's like okay, he was kind of forced on us. I don't mind him. I think he's a good heel announcer.
He annoys me, but he is a good heel announcer.
So,
Start with Chris, the Bombier, sir.
who are you going to Kinshasa this week?
And if it's Roman Reigns, let's say not Roman Reigns this week.
It's not Roman Reigns, but Kalisto or Apollo Crews or whatever his name is.
Just because there's no point in them being there?
It's just like, what are you doing? Or like, whoever's writing that and is the brains behind that, that's who. That whole group with Dolph Ziggler, those three, just give them to me. It's just a waste. Those fillers, it hurts.
They're getting Bombier.
Yep.
Alright, Zane, who are you Bombiering this week?
Well, I usually do someone in wrestling, but this week has to do with my job. Or this is in general.
Don't know if we want to say names, but
Yeah.
People,
continue.
no, it's not who I'm talking about. People who don't know how to park their car. People, if you can see the lines in like a parking lot, people who deliberately don't do it.
Well, of course. Why would they park? That's
And like when you call them on it, and they're like, well, why should I do that? Like, why would I move? You're getting Kinshasa in the face.
Bombier. That's the move of the week.
Kinshasa.
I would say it's people who say Kinshasa instead of Bombier, but I got a better one. Zach, let's go with you first, though. If you need to
I
see
have
it
two.
again.
I have two. My one, if it could be a final Kinshasa, it would be to Vince McMahon, because I'm sick of him ruining things with his old thought of wrestling. I'm ready for Triple H to take over. I'm ready for the people at NXT to come up and really show their skills. And my second is to Baron Corbin. He just looks like a douche. If I could kick that high, that's what I want to Kinshasa.
All right. Mine is going to be along the lines of Zane's, people at work. People who brush their teeth at work.
Oh, gross.
What are you doing? I'm sitting at the urinal, and I got two guys behind me brushing their teeth. I'm like, is this like a college dorm room or something? Like, get your shit together. Don't brush your teeth at work.
Alright,
You're getting
at one of my
bothered.
jobs, I bumped into someone shaking in the bathroom. That happened.
They must have got kicked. They're
Turned around and gave you full pickle and shook?
Shaving.
Oh, shaving. I thought you said shaking. Like they just, they turned over, pulled pickle, and just shook. Not even in the urinal. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, yeah, that pissed me off too.
But yeah,
Back on that, Chris. That probably
don't press any pickle.
Don't press pickle. Don't pull pickle out when you're in the restroom.
God.
Well, before we close out the show today, anything else anybody wants to add?
Don't show pickle.
Don't press pickle.
Don't press pickle.
Thought of the week. Don't press pickle. Well, this is the time of the show where we'd like to thank everybody for watching. You know, we are on YouTube. We are streaming live on Twitch right now under the talk show section of twitch.com.
Which we do want to apologize for. We had a lot of connection issues. Bringing Chris in on Skype did not help with our connection, but we will be working on that to improve it. And you will be able to watch the full stream in perfect quality on YouTube, hopefully by the end of today. So you got that to look forward to, and once again, we apologize for that. It's just, you know, as we learn and grow with this podcast, there's some things that we need to adjust and adhere to, and we appreciate the support going forward.
And always remember, you know, if you like the video, give us that thumbs up on YouTube. If you like us on Twitch, follow us on Twitch. You know, we're live every Sunday at 3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Share us on Facebook, whatever, from YouTube or whatever. Get the word out to your friends. If you like wrestling and your friends like wrestling, you know, we're just 4 friends that like wrestling. That's all we are.
And, you know, feel free to leave a comment. You have any questions, anything you want to hear us discuss, anything that you may not agree with us on, maybe you do agree and want to elaborate on your different points of view, feel free to comment and we will happily address that every single episode.
Absolutely. Website is coming soon. It will be horsemenwrestlingpodcast.com. So here in about a couple weeks, just come take a look. We'll have a donation button pulled up. We'll also have a link to a shop where we're going to be creating some shirts.
Stickers.
Shirts, stickers, a little odds and ends. So just be ready for that and, you know, support us, help us grow, and message any questions you might have, anything that you care to hear our opinion on. Love to hear it. Love to answer it. Love to talk about it.
I've been Zane. He's been Zach.
Three
He's
beers
been
deep.
Dylan.
And there's
Chris is with us. We are the 4 Horsemen. We'll see you next time.